That moment when you're crying so hard you can barely breathe, and then your dog walks over and starts licking your tears. Most people see that and think it's just affection. A sweet little habit. A dog trying to comfort you the only way they know how. But if you've ever been through real pain, real loss, real trauma, the kind that stays in your body long after the moment has passed, it doesn't feel that simple. Because your dog isn't just reacting to the salt on your skin. They're reacting to you. To the thing underneath the crying. To the part of you that's still shaken, still open, still carrying something you haven't been able to put into words. And here's what most dog owners never hear. That small, quiet act may be doing something far deeper than comforting you. It may be helping pull your brain out of the past and back into the present. There's a biological reason your dog does this. And once you understand it, you may never see those little licks the same way again. Most people explain this in the simplest way possible. They say your dog is being loving, comforting, sensitive, and yes, that is part of it. But it's not the full story. Because once you start looking closer, you realize this isn't just about a dog reacting to tears. It's about a nervous system reacting to another nervous system. That's the part almost nobody talks about. We tend to think of trauma as something that lives in memory, as something that happened back then. And now, we're just trying to move on. But trauma doesn't stay locked in the past that neatly. It lives in the body, in the breath, in the jaw, in the way your shoulders stay tight even when nothing is happening, in the way your mind keeps bracing for a threat that is no longer in the room. And your dog can feel that. Not in some magical, mysterious way, in a real, physical way. They notice the changes in your scent, your posture, your breathing, your energy. They pick up on the shifts before you even have words for them. So when your dog comes close and licks your tears, that is not just random affection. That is a response to distress, a response to dysregulation, a response to something in you that is asking for safety, even if you haven't said it out loud. And once you understand that, the whole moment changes. It stops being a small, cute gesture and starts looking like something much deeper. Here's what's actually happening in your body when you're crying like that. Trauma doesn't just leave emotional scars, it rewires your nervous system. Your brain gets stuck in survival mode, fight, flight, or freeze. Even when the threat is gone, your body stays on high alert. Your breathing stays shallow. Your heart stays fast. Your muscles stay braced. And the world feels unsafe, even when it isn't. That's why crying after trauma often feels more like release than relief. It's your body trying to discharge all that pent-up tension. But the problem is, your nervous system doesn't always know when it's safe to come down. That's where your dog steps in. When your dog licks your tears, it's not just about the salt. It's about the contact, the warmth, the steady presence. That physical touch sends a signal directly to your vagus nerve, the longest nerve in your body, the one that runs from your brainstem all the way to your gut. And that nerve is the highway between your brain and the rest of your body when it comes to feeling safe. The licking interrupts the trauma loop. It forces your brain to shift attention from the past to the present, from internal chaos to external sensation, from danger to contact. And that shift, however small, starts activating your parasympathetic nervous system, the part that says, "You're safe now, you can breathe, you can relax." Studies show that dogs can detect human distress through chemical changes in our scent alone. They don't need to hear you cry or see your face. They smell the shift in your cortisol levels, the change in your pheromones, and they respond. Not with anxiety of their own, but with regulated, calm energy. That's why it feels different from human comfort. Most people get nervous when you cry. They want to fix it. They ask questions. They move around. But your dog just stays, licks, presses close, breathes slow. And in that moment, your brain gets a very specific message. This is safety. This is connection. This is not threat. But here's what most people miss entirely. It's not just about what happens in that single moment. It's about what happens when that moment repeats, night after night, week after week. Every time you break down, and every time your dog shows up. Because healing from trauma isn't one big breakthrough. Most people wait for that. One conversation, one therapy session, one moment of clarity that finally makes it all make sense. And sometimes that happens. But more often, healing works differently. It works through repetition, through small, safe experiences that slowly teach your nervous system a new story. And your dog has been giving you those experiences without either of you realizing it. Every time he comes close when you cry, your brain stores that moment. Not as a memory exactly, but as a felt experience. I was in pain, and something came toward me instead of pulling away. Something touched me without hurting me. Something stayed. That's the opposite of what trauma teaches. Trauma teaches your brain that vulnerability is dangerous, that breaking down means being abandoned, that showing the worst of yourself means losing the people around you. That's not always a conscious belief. It's a body-level expectation, built from experience, stored deep. But your dog contradicts that expectation every single time. He doesn't pull away when you fall apart. He moves closer. He doesn't get uncomfortable with your tears. He leans in. He doesn't need you to hold it together to deserve his presence. He shows up precisely when you can't. And over time, this is where it gets powerful. That repetition starts to rewire things. Your nervous system begins to learn that it's safe to be seen in pain. That closeness doesn't always end in hurt. That you can be completely undone and still be chosen. That's not a small thing. For someone carrying trauma, that might be the most important lesson their brain ever learns. And your dog has been teaching it to you in silence, one small moment at a time. And this is where I want to stop for a second, because this isn't just about your dog. This is also about you, about what it means that your body needed that, about what it reveals, not about your dog's instincts, but about how long you've been carrying something without a safe place to put it down. Trauma has a way of making you feel like a burden. Your pain is too much. The people around you have a limit, and you're always one breakdown away from reaching it. So you learn to manage it, to schedule your falling apart for when no one is watching, to cry in the shower, to hold it together just long enough to get through the day, and then collapse in private, and then your dog walks in. And he doesn't flinch. He doesn't check his watch. He doesn't offer advice, or get that look on his face that tells you he doesn't know what to say. He just comes close and stays there, steady, warm, completely unbothered by the depth of what you're feeling. Most of us have never had that from another person. Not consistently, not unconditionally. We've had people who loved us, but had limits. People who tried but got tired. People who showed up for the good parts and quietly disappeared when the hard parts went on too long. Your dog has no such limit. And for someone who has spent years learning to hide their pain, that kind of unconditional presence doesn't just feel good. It feels like something the nervous system has been waiting for without knowing how to ask. This isn't just about your dog licking your tears. This is about what you've been through, about the weight you've been carrying quietly, about the part of you that still doesn't fully believe it's safe to fall apart in front of someone. And the fact that your dog has been proving that belief wrong every single time, without ever being asked to. He sees you at your most broken. And he stays anyway. That's not nothing. For a heart that's been through real pain, that might be everything. So let's go back to that moment. Your dog, licking your tears, while you were falling apart. You thought it was sweet. You thought it was just something dogs do. But now you know. That wasn't just affection. That was your dog responding to a distress signal your body was sending. One you maybe hadn't even fully acknowledged yourself. That was a nervous system reaching out to another nervous system and saying, I feel you. I'm here. You're not alone in this. And here's the truth that hits hardest. For a lot of people who have been through trauma, their dog was the first safe contact they experienced after the wound. Not a therapist, not a friend, not a family member. A dog. A small, warm, persistent creature who didn't understand the story of what happened, but felt everything about how it left you. And that matters more than most people realize, because healing doesn't begin with understanding. It begins with safety. It begins with one experience, just one, that teaches your body, not everything that comes close will hurt you. Your dog gave you that. Maybe this was never just about licking tears. Maybe it was about taking one of your most broken moments and placing something gentle inside it. Something that didn't flinch. Something that chose you anyway. And in doing that, quietly, instinctively, without any idea of the weight it carried, your dog became part of your healing, whether you knew it or not. The next time your dog licks your tears, let them. Don't pull away. Don't laugh it off. Don't shrink the moment into something smaller than it is. Just let yourself be there. Feel the warmth. Feel the contact. Feel what it's like to have something come close when you're broken and not run away. Because that's not a small thing. That's your nervous system getting one more piece of evidence that safety exists, that connection is real, that you are not too much, that even in your worst moments, especially in your worst moments, you are worth staying for. You've been through things that left marks, things that made you smaller than you should be, things that taught you to hide the parts of you that hurt the most. And healing from that is not linear. It's not loud. It doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like a dog pressing their face against yours while you cry. Sometimes it looks like that, repeated enough times, until your body finally starts to believe what your mind has been too afraid to accept. That you are safe, that you are loved, that you are not alone. If this reached something in you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to keep exploring the quiet, powerful ways your dog is helping your mind and body heal every single day, stay with us. We're just getting started.